I've got another great story. It's for a lot of hope and, for the entire world. Cannabis and psychedelic use reaches historic highs, unlike me and Yarrow. Cannabis and hallucinogen use among adults continued to reach historic highs in 2023, according to the latest findings from the NIH-supported Monitoring the Future survey. Study, which tracks substance use behaviors among adults, highlighted key trends in drug consumption across various age groups, signaling ongoing changes in substance use patterns. Adults, age 19 to 30, man, those were some good years, 42% reported using cannabis in the past year, with 29% reporting past month use, 10% engaging in daily consumption. The 35 to 50 age group, that was also a nice time. Corresponding figures were slightly lower at 29, 19, and 8% respectively. These trends reflect a significant increase over the past 5 and 10 years for both age groups. Guess like me, if you're 52, you don't count anymore, so get bent. Hallucinogen use has seen similarly a rise with 9% of younger adults, 4% of middle-aged adults reporting past year use of substances like LSD, magic mushrooms, and peyote. These numbers represent a 5-year upward trend in psychedelic use, driven by growing interest and availability of these substances. Vaping also remains at historic highs among younger adults in 2023, with 25% of adults aged 19 to 30 reporting vaping nicotine, 22% vaping cannabis. Among the 35 to 50 crowd, nicotine and cannabis vaping held steady from previous years, although long-term trends in this group are still emerging, as the survey began asking these questions only in 2019. Notably, the gender gap in cannabis use has reversed among younger adults. The first time, women aged 19 to 30 reported higher past year cannabis use than men in the same age group. However, aged 35 to 50 continued to report higher use than women, reflecting a decade-long pattern. While smoking and daily alcohol use continued to decline, woohoo! Binge drinking saw an uptick among 35 to 50-year-olds, probably all that pandemic stress still playing out, underscoring the evolving landscape of substance use across adulthood. These findings highlight the need for ongoing research into the risk and potential therapeutic benefits of substances like cannabis and hallucinogens. This, to me, is just great news. I'd like to see less smoking and less drinking than ever before, and more use of psychedelics and cannabis. And I, for one, am hoping this is going to lead to a kinder, gentler, cohesive, and compassionate America. Really interested to hear what my hosts and guests have to say. This is St. Germain on a Monday for the High at 9. Take it away, y'all.
Man, what about this, man? These psychedelic researchers, man, they're really trying to push all this psychedelic shit, Mathieu St. Germain, especially after their whole big mishap.
They are being proven repeatedly to be non-toxic and incredibly beneficial. And with MAPS dropping the ball kind of off to the side, I think that has more to do with the way they handle that trial and the psychotherapy aspect and not actual substance itself. And I think a lot of that's going to come clear in the next 6 to 8 months. You know how that always moves at kind of a glacial speed. But for the most part, what I'm seeing too, and a lot of it's anecdotal, but I'm seeing a lot of people using mushrooms and LSD and Wachuma or San Pedro cactus as a microdose, and people in a better mood, exercising more, drinking less, and smoking less. And I think that is just great news for everybody. What do you all think?
I totally agree with that. I totally, I do find it super, super interesting that they keep on pushing all of these psychedelic treatments and whatnot, and these psychedelic studies. Who's funding this study? That's the real question.
This is an NIH study, so it's the National Institute of Health. This is the federal government kind of just keeping tabs on, what folks are doing as major trends. And one of the reasons they do that is so they can figure out how to apportion money for healthcare, et cetera.
So we know that the federal government grows weed in the University of Mississippi, but where do they grow their mushrooms at, Mathieu St. Germain?
So for their test, they're using single molecule psilocybin. They're not actually using the mushrooms.
So they're using a synthetic pharmacy-derived
usually an
version.
Extract, and so it's not synthetically made. It's actually extracted from mushrooms, I would think.
Okay, so then they have to be growing mushrooms then, because they have to have a source.
Yes, they would have to be growing mushrooms then, yes.
So what college is growing these?
I think we're going to have to find out and infiltrate.
I think we need to find out. I think we need to do a FOIA request to find out.
You guys gonna, oh my God.
What's that? Oh, just one at a
You
time.
gonna free the monkeys while you're in there too? You guys just gonna go steal all the mushrooms, free the monkeys?
Whoa. All that. We're not at the Playboy Mansion. What are you saying, Yarrow?
I was just saying, follow the Paisley Trail. I'm sure there's some place where they're growing mushrooms, extracting it, coming up with some type of attempt at a standardized dosing. Matthew covers this vein of news regularly, and what I would say is that the news coverage seems to be mostly consistent across the board in terms of more people using psychedelics, especially microdosing. I think the good news here is that people feel comfortable to do this. They feel comfortable to acknowledge or report it when interviewed. It does seem like it's a place where there continues to be more and more involvement by a wider cross-section of society. I'd say the bad news in this article is that vaping remains at historic highs, is a quote from this article, including 25% of adults 19 to 30 nicotine and 22% cannabis in that age bracket. And I think the jury's still out around vape tech safety for things that are not built to medical device grade standards. And I don't think that a ton of vaping, whether it's cannabis or nicotine, is probably particularly beneficial for 19-year-olds. So I think that that's the black eye on what I think would otherwise be construed as optimistic reporting around this around increased use of psychedelics. I also think that we don't have the data, at least in this article, about sort of that inversely proportional relationship of increased use of psychedelics versus decreased use of antidepressants or some of these other pharmacological solutions that some people have already been using or are seeking to use. Hey, I can't talk. I'm on High at 9 News, goddammit!
Oh,
Sorry
boy.
about that. And so I do think that, we're going to continue to see. It was probably
This press, can I call you later?
Yeah.
No, I'm channeling my inner Bobcat, my inner.
Oh boy. He's going down the rabbit hole. He got the.
Are you
dose
okay, Yarrow?
He must have
concerned.
He must have got the dose from Mathieu St. Germain. They've been sharing the same
Yarrow's
water bottle.
macrodosing today, y'all.
Something.
I
Like
did
that.
a little research, and I found that all of
Bobcat Gold Sweat. That's me.
say who specifically is cultivating it. It does say that Penn State University is the only academic institution in the United States that has a facility dedicated for the cultivation of for cultivated mushroom research. So I would assume that Penn State is where you want to go, Mathieu St. Germain.
Interesting, because Eddie Funksta in the chat, he says Johns Hopkins University, and he says that Dennis McKenna is the head of their research.
So it says that Johns Hopkins was awarded a grant to explore the potential impacts of psilocybin on tobacco use, but Penn State is once again saying that they're also like a facility dedicated to the cultivation.
McKenna's a name that is royalty in the psilocybin community, so I'm gonna go with Johns Hopkins.
Yes, we know.